presents the Hall of Fame cast in this celebration to recognize the 1975 touring team. It was a team of firsts, there's no question about that. Whether it was the first team that defeated England on their home soil, whether it was the first team to come back undefeated, or whether it was the first team that was actually sent out with a designated coach and umpire. As a team, as I said, they accomplished so much as a team. And yet perhaps the biggest accomplishments are now being recognized almost 40 years after their team really put women's lacrosse in the news. I believe it was a turning point for women's lacrosse on the international and national stage. 7 years later, we had the first Women's World Cup coached by Jackie Pitts that were certainly recognized as #1 in the world. Many of the members of this incredible team have already been inducted into the National Hall of Fame, with one more member being inducted tomorrow night. And yet to a person, when I asked them about what they remembered or what the accomplishments were, they felt most proud of what they accomplished as a group of determined young women that came together as a team and made a mark on this wonderful game of women's lacrosse. I actually talked to Kathy Hines, their coach, and I, having coached before, said to Kathy, was there one particular accomplishment that you will always remember? And her answer was not surprising. She told me that the lifetime bonding of this particular group of women, and not only the celebration of those wins during that tour, but what they learned as a team, how they bonded as a team, and how extraordinary their lives continued to be intertwined with women's lacrosse, and what they learned with and from each other has impacted their lives to this day. At this time, I congratulations again to the 1975 touring team. It's my pleasure to introduce their coach, Kathy Hines, and their captain, Connie Lansell.
When I first heard that this team was going to be recognized as a team of distinction, my heart was filled with true joy. None of this could have been accomplished if it hadn't been such an incredible team effort. This is an honor which is a recognition for a fabulous group of women who met the challenge of representing their country by working to perfect their own skills and melding these individual efforts to meet the team challenge. This was a time of personal effort, tremendous team challenge, and a national pride. And if I may just insert something there, to the Navy team, we really salute your national pride and how you have served our country. And we thank you very, very much. So many of what your representatives said applied directly to our team. And one of the most things that we'll all recognize is that ground balls. If you don't rule the ground, you don't win. Unfortunately, very few people in this country saw this team play. Our our 13 games in Great Britain were obviously not seen by a great number of Americans over there. However, the team was immediately recognized by Great Britain and by the British press. I quote, "Even the outsider can appreciate the brilliant stick work, the supreme fitness, the uncanny teamwork of the U.S. women's lacrosse team." This is the London Times in October of 1975. One more from The Observer, which is also a national paper. "The British, from first match to last, were dazed by the speed and dexterity of the visitors. But most of all, they were destroyed by determination." This was the 1975 United States Women's Lacrosse touring team showing what they could add to the game of lacrosse in another country. As I look back at how this all happened, it didn't happen in a vacuum. It didn't happen when 17 people arrived on British soil. So many factors figure into the accomplishment. First, I would like to say, for the accomplishment of this honor, that we have great gratitude to the United States Lacrosse here for recognizing the value of instigating this honor. I think we, with the Navy team and 2 others, are only the 4 teams that so far have been so honored. And it is really, I thank you, the USL, and I thank particularly Liz Piper and Kira Muller for being such a great liaison with the USL and with our teams. Thank you very much, both of you. Then, after my joy and gratitude, comes appreciation. Appreciation for the United States Women's Lacrosse Association, for their organization, and here I must reference Caroline Hauserman, who recently left us, and for Jackie Pitts, who is here today, and also for Carol Kleinfelder, who was the first person who realized that money needs to be raised for a successful team. And Carol got all the schoolgirls lacrosse to cradle in an effort to send us to Great Britain. These people paved the way, along with so many players and coaches, and I would like to recognize here Judy Wolfenstone and Mike. Mike coached with me, and I could have not have been the coach I was if it had not been for her calming influence. Some people might have given up the game if it had not been for Mike saying, "It's all right, she's not really that upset." And Judy, both Mike and Judy are coaches, and all the coaches who worked with those players who went to Great Britain and were so successful, they all played an enormous part. Again, it didn't just happen in 1 year's time. This happened over a number of years as these people played lacrosse. I also want to thank our hosts. It's not easy to be on a 5-week tour, playing 13 matches, and being basically happy the whole time. Basically not having a lot of confrontation or people that are disgruntled and so on. And much of this was due to the English, Welsh, and Scottish associations, the amazing tour manager, Paula Pinley, and the outstanding publicity generated by Mary Louise Frawley. They're not here, but again, this was a very important part of being successful. They provided us with such positive experiences both on in the field and gracious hospitality. And here I'd like to recognize Della. Thank you, Della. Micah, who is in Wales. And I think Jane, I don't know if Jane Clayton here, and she was, but from Scotland. They were just so important to our traveling in the country. Now to the team. Those were all the people who supported the team. Now the team truly raised the level of women's lacrosse. And by so doing, they established the United States as number one in the world. A position which has kept a significant hold. Skill, fitness, unselfish teamwork are all vital to success. So also is individual personality and team chemistry. And the people who help bring this all together come under the category, whatever, of leadership. The team is all, but leadership is essential. And I'd like to recognize three of our team leaders. Janet, A.K. Granny, who was the only member who had toured before. We were all rookies, except for Janet. She had come very close to putting U.S. in the top slot, and she knew what it would take. She showed us what it would take, and fortunately, we followed in her footsteps there. Our vice captain, Mike, the voice of positive thought, emotional inspiration, and unbridled enthusiasm. Mike kept us going no matter what. Everything was positive. And on we went. She scored the very first goal of the tour and never looked back. And thank you, Mike. And lastly, our captain, Connie, she understood the challenge, but more importantly, she understood her teammates. Her name was the best. She gave it, and she received it from her teammates. I'm now very happy to introduce you to our captain, Connie.
Thank you. We are so honored to be here, and while you can talk about this not being about individuals, I'm going to make it about individuals. So if my teammates would join me up here, you're not getting out of this. Up here. So when I read something somewhere, it was a quote from Chris Saylor, who was on the Hall of Fame task force in reference to our being selected as a team of distinction. And this was the quote: "The U.S. team came into the tour as underdogs, but utilizing quick passing, excellent stick work, close marking, and a daunting fast break, they staked their claim as the best team in the world." And I thought, I don't know. I figured if passing and stick work and close marking and good fast break had been the deciding factors in our victory, I am not quite so sure that we would have done as well. All of those skills could have been countered or even matched by our opponents. Our success at that particular moment, in that era, at that pivotal time in women's sports and women's attitudes towards sports, had in some ways less to do with our skills and, as Kathy's pointed out, more to do with the team itself and what each person brought to the vision and the dream. Yes, we were skilled, we were fit, and we statistically blew our opponents out of the water, just saying. But the final results may be even more a testament to attributes of character. Things like personal accountability, sense of responsibility, individual discipline, sensitivity to different playing styles and temperaments, and then a belief and confidence in our coach, and a belief and confidence in each other. So those attributes that we had as players and as people may just be the key to our success in 1975 and the reason that we have had a continuous bond for the last 43 years. So I was going to regale you with our first, but Josie already did that. So what I like to do is to show you about the people who made this happen. So you heard that Mike Worley, take a step out, Mike. Yeah, good. That Mike Worley was the emotional one. She was the emotional heart of the team then, and she is now. The first goal that Kathy mentioned as a center, this was our first game on their soil against the second best team in England. Mike was the center. She drew it. It went to Janice. Janice got it. Janice threw it back to her, and Mike went right straight up the field and scored so quickly that our opponents were visibly stunned. But what was more important was that Mike's spark turned on the light bulb for the rest of us. And all of a sudden we thought, and if Chris Taylor had been there, I would have said, underdogs. This was, we can do it. This was actually possible. So that's what Mike brought to the team every time. Oh, yes, I'm sorry. Joanne told me to tell you the score. 15-0. That was part of it. So you met Janet Smith, Granny. She's sometimes, she, as Kathy points out, she was the tour veteran on the team. And she brought such value, not only because of her outstanding defensive play, but also because of her wisdom and inner strength. And I think, while certainly none of us wanted to disappoint Kathy, I think just as strongly, we didn't want to let Janet Smith down because we wanted her to get all the credit and the rewards that she so richly deserved. Now there's Lee Buck Friedman, who is being inducted into the Hall of Fame tomorrow night. And Lee's confidence in and her execution of her high scoring ability never wavered, even in the face of the tough and often very rough opponents. But it was her sheer joy, just the touring experience, that reminded us all to remember the moments of that tour, both on the field and off the field. Now, Dottie Hayden was our official, and her quiet demeanor belied a strong will and a very sharp intellect. And the pressure of not backing down on some of those certain calls in front of a very partisan audience, obviously, and glaring looks from an awful lot of people. You just had to be there. She was amazing. And there's Sandy Walker. Sandy. She is one of the most dogged and persistent and fierce competitors that you've ever met, both on the field and very much in life. And the knowledge that this was going to be Sandy's last game made it all the more poignant for all of us to make sure that her swan song was as sweet as possible. Roseanne Neff. Her speed and strength were just incredible. And she had that kind of ability that made all of us redouble our efforts just to be able to emulate her. And what was more amazing was her humility and her grace and her kindness off the field that has been such a strength of this team for 43 years and more. Sue King was the last defensive player before they got to Sally, our goalkeeper. And her steadiness of play and steadiness of temperament gave everybody a feeling of absolute security and confidence that if the ball got anywhere near her, just wait, and it would start coming back in the right direction. Jamie Dimon was one of the fastest players you've ever seen. She was also one of the youngest members of our team, and she internalized a lot of stuff. I did not always, possibly rarely, know what she was thinking. But the fact that 7 years later, she captained the first U.S. team to be undefeated in the World Cup just shows you that this was a good stepping stone for her. Claudia Bloom Hanslick, she was the kind of versatile and unflappable utility player that every coach needs to have on their team, who can jump in at a moment's notice and play virtually any position on the field with grace and dignity and great skill. And Barb Duran, she has a take charge ability on the field. And she was fueled by a combination of mental toughness and an absolute refusal to be ever deterred on her way to goal. And this is a critical factor in her succeeding and our succeeding on tour, and I think it's been a critical factor in her succeeding in her career as well. Janice Ransomer Cooklick, her position often pitted her against the opponent's fastest and toughest player, whom she consistently outplayed, by the way, cracking gum, jokes, and smiles all the while, and the whole time that she was stealing the ball from them. She was rather extraordinary. And then there was Sally Wilson Owen, who was our goalkeeper, and who rose to such heights under such pressure, mental and physical pressure. And she played what could have been a very lonely position. But we learned that Sally's attitude was that she was not the last line of defense. She was indeed the first person on attack. So we had all these firsts and all these great stats. But the most important first was a coach, and it had to be Catherine. The fact that she was British let us know sort of what to expect over there, and that was helpful, but it probably wasn't critical. What was critical was her ability to take others' recommendations and suggestions and practices from dozens of other people and synthesize it into what could work for her, and then adapt it to what would work for our team and as individuals. I cannot imagine, and I know I speak for the whole team, any other coach being able to let us be victorious. So, not all of us are here tonight, and any joy in this award or accepting this honor would not be complete without making sure that all of you know their contributions as well. So two of them, Marianne Smelton, Barb Hutchinson, couldn't be with us tonight, but I do want to tell you about them. Marianne was a very focused, intense, speedy defense player, and she was often pitted against the toughest scoring player on the team. She has a great ability to build relationships, and she continues to be the glue of this team. And the other player who's not here is Barb Hutchinson, and every team needs a Hutch. At the moment, Barb is flat on her back for the next 7 weeks due to a scary accident, but her aplomb and her strength and her soldiering on mentality has stood her well in this situation as it did on the team, and we learned what she was doing there. She's grounded in reality, no hyperbole. She takes on every role with equanimity and confidence, and she just always feels that you just get the job done. That's just what you do. So skills and speed were good, but still the most defining advantage to us may have been the teamwork of our hearts and minds and our strength of will. And there's one more teammate who's not here tonight, and that was Beth Allen. She was a left-hander whose pinpoint shooting and phenomenal passing just made everything look smooth and flowing. She was the only player on this team who has died, and that was 2 years after we returned from tour. She's remembered and honored yearly through an award at the national tournament that reflects her character. And that award reads, "It's given to a highly skilled, creative, and disciplined player who consistently makes a positive contribution to the team effort." And that was Beth. So it's in her memory tonight that we would like, as a team, to present a gift to U.S. Lacrosse. The game of lacrosse changed all of our lives for the better and forever. The women's game has changed markedly since 1975, as have all of us. And we have lively debates pretty much every year when we get back together about whether we like those changes. But that really isn't the point. The point is that when you find something that, as Kathy says, brings you joy, when you find something that requires discipline and effort and personal commitment of time and character, that empowers you to succeed in your life, and that surrounds you with people that are good for you and that you care about long after you've hung up your stick or left the field, those residual intangibles of playing lacrosse stay with you and make a part of your life permanently special. So lacrosse has done that for us, and we want that experience to continue to enrich the lives of other girls that we will never know, but who maybe we can reach in just this way. So in memory of our teammate, Beth Allen, the 1975 undefeated, so you know that term always comes in, undefeated women's lacrosse dream team presents a gift to U.S. Lacrosse to further your commendable efforts concerning diversity and inclusion, and specifically for opening the lacrosse experience to young girls, so that when those girls become women, even much older women, that the lasting spirit of lacrosse can continue to make a meaningful difference in their lives as it has in ours. So we appreciate this honor, and as we said, this is your cue. As we said when ending our undecipherable huddle cheer before every match, Ra Ray Lacrosse.